Hey guys, how are you? Uncle Steph here. So, is it the end of software development? I'm recording this, well, it's going to be November 1st, 2025. It's October 30th today. So, is it the end of software development as we know it? Should you be looking at, I don't know, becoming a plumber or an electrician or something? Short answer is no. There's lots of software development. We're in the next cycle. And the three concepts you got to consider now, and people who watch my channel know what I'm going to say, is AI, low code, and no code. Now, in terms of AI, it's AI assisted coding. That's number one, and AI first development. That's number two. We're going to unpack these things in this video. So if you're new to my channel, the answer is simple. You learn the foundations of coding. I always recommend the web stack because it has the widest range of possibilities. Number two, how long does that take? Well, it depends on your aptitudes, where you're coming into development from, but let's assume that you know absolutely nothing about software development. You're looking at maybe 200 hours. I used to say 250, 300. But if you're smart, let's say you couple my interactive training, plus use AI to help you along the way. You can cut it down from maybe 250, 300 to maybe 200 hours to get to the point where you're comfortable with the landscape. Now, you're not going to be an expert, but you're going to know your way around web development. You're going to understand the fundamental concepts that are key, the basics of coding, and so forth. Remember, having AI write your code, it's there, but so do we've had code editors way before AI that would write a bunch of code for you. So code completion is nothing new. This takes us to a whole new level. How much more productive are developers when they're using AI to assist in traditional development? Depends on the job. Depends on the job. You could be 5 times faster. You could be 25% faster. It depends on the specific job at hand, the type of coding that you're doing. Nonetheless, today in 2025, moving into 2026 and forward, don't believe the doomers, first of all. AI is very, very powerful, but it's not a replacement for developers. So if you're saying to me, yeah, but Steph, there are no jobs now. Well, jobs are harder to come by for beginners for 3 reasons. Number one, they overhired during COVID. Number two, the economy is slowing down overall, especially in the West. And number three, AI. So these 3 things. But once the dust settles and once young, smart developers, and I'll give you the formula, once they jump into the market with the right skill sets, then you'll be fine. So what are the skill sets? Again, the web stack, I think, is number one. Again, a variety of jobs. You can work with the web stack. You can work with small businesses, medium-sized businesses, large businesses. There's all kinds of applications that are delivered via the web technology stack. There's other stacks, right? There's Windows-specific stacks, iOS-specific, Android-specific. But for every, iOS app that will be built, there'll be probably 1,000, if not 10,000 web apps that are built. These are, I'm just guessing it could be, the numbers are a guess. They're an estimate, a guesstimate, but I think it's reflective of reality. So once you have that web stack under your belt, you open yourself up to the world. Because remember, even if you deliver a AI first application, you still need to know how to deliver it, how to deploy it for the most part. How about the vibe coding situation? I did a video a couple of days ago. Even the guy who coined the term vibe coding, he admitted he released an app recently and he couldn't vibe code it. He had to write it out himself. That said, even when doing traditional development, using AI will speed up the process. I've experimented with it. It does speed it up quite a bit, but I still needed to know what I was doing. So I'm seeing more and more companies now, they're insisting that the developers use AI, but some have gone too far into it, meaning they try to use the AI to do absolutely everything. That's a mistake. What companies are discovering is that the way you use AI is you have to use it in a very fine-grained, specialized manner. Use it to do specific certain tasks. Don't try to have an AI just build an app from scratch. Those type of things can work if the application is simple and they're one-off things, meaning it's a simple little utility app that you need to build that won't need to be updated too much. It doesn't have too much functionality. That's where it will work quite well. And I have a friend of mine, she just did something like that. A very simple logging app. There's one or two functionalities. It still doesn't work perfectly, and I wouldn't use it in production, but in-house application, it's fine. It's a web app based on Google Sheets. She used ChatGPT to create all these scripts, and she got it working fairly well, although it's very buggy and it can break. But because it's internal use, it does its job, and it's okay for now. But again, as a web developer, or a developer of any type really, using AI to supercharge your career this way would be fantastic. You see, when they're looking to hire developers now, for example, if you're doing a web stack, they may say, we want a React developer who knows Next.js, and then you have somebody who knows Next.js and React, and they do know how to use AI tools to speed up that whole production. They're going to have a far greater opportunity or far greater chance that they're going to get the job versus somebody who knows React and Node and Express and React, but they don't use AI tools. They're less likely to get the job. So learn to use AI to build these things. At the beginning of the video, I mentioned low code and no code technologies, and I'll throw WordPress into it, content management systems. Low code, no code would be like Webflow, Wix, even Squarespace. These are all tools that a developer can use. Remember, a developer doesn't necessarily need to be writing code all day. In fact, way before AI came out, somebody had been teaching for many, many years now, I said, don't look for code to write. In real estate, the top 3 rules are location, location, location. To emphasize that when you're looking at real estate, location is paramount. Number one priority is the location. Where are you located? People pay for location. In software development, I used to borrow from that expression. I used to say the top 3 rules of software development are reuse, reuse, and reuse. You want to reuse other people's code. If you're using a framework, if you're using Next.js, if you're using React, if you're using C#, you're using JavaScript, you're using TypeScript, you're using other people's code. So don't be afraid and reluctant to use other people's code. So when you look at low code and no code platforms like Airtable, like WordPress, like Joomla, like Wix, etc., these are low code and no code platforms. And I've seen jobs where people are being paid big money just to build Wix sites or maintain Wix sites. So don't poo-poo these things. Even when you're using low code and no code platforms, understanding the foundations of coding has a big impact. It will make you far more effective at using these tools. All right, since we've covered the basics, let me give you the strategy for the beginner and then the experienced developer. So this beginner, again, I would suggest learning the web stack, although any technology is fine, really, as long as you learn how to code with a modern language, except for Ruby. So outside of Ruby, you should be fine. That's just a joke. It's my little Ruby joke. So any language is fine. Any stack is fine. But I think you'll find out there that most of the demand is in the web stack. So that's the step 1. You learn the foundations. You're looking at about 200 hours from scratch of your time. So you divide it up. If you do 10 hours a week or 20 hours a week of learning, you can decide how to proceed, how quickly you're going to get there. So the most important thing when you're learning how to code, by the way, is you got to start writing code right away. You got to start building things, deploying things. Don't become a perma student. Get into the game. Start doing things. Start ramping up your learning by actually building actual projects. So the next thing, after you've done your first 200 hours, and if, for example, if you use my interactive training, you're writing code right away. Day 1, you're starting to write code, you're starting to build things. There's 57 projects, all this interactivity, very important. When I develop my platform, I have an interactive training platform. It's also a classroom management system that I've been selling into schools for like 15 years now. Time flies. When I built it with the idea that you got to engage with the material as much as possible. So it's very practical, it's very pragmatic. And if you take anything away from this video, if you're learning to code, learning anything, you want to engage with it for real as quickly as possible. So when I did combat sports for about 25 years, and I used to tell people 3-round sparring session is worth months of training. And in fact, a bunch of sparring sessions, like 5 or 6 sparring sessions, will give you a level of competence in terms of combat that 2-3 years of training will not give you if you don't actually step in the ring and engage with real people, real opponents. Same thing with the development. So my goal whenever I've mentored people in my program is I want to get students as quickly as possible building things. So that's the next step. So you learn your fundamentals, then you got to build things. So you don't have to build the next Twitter or Instagram or the next Facebook to learn. You can start with simple things like installing somebody's WordPress site, updating their Wix install. It can be simple things. So you want to get out there and try to do 2 to 3 small projects for clients and do them for free. Consider the first few jobs, they take a week to do, they take 2 weeks to do, something like that. Consider the first 3 jobs that you do as the last stage of your learning. All along the way, you ought to be working with AI. So if you're doing my interactive training platform, you do the HTML course, then you jump into the CSS. And I'd say in chapter 3 of CSS, I would start engaging with AI, whether you use Gemini or ChatGPT, whether you download an IDE or like Cursor or something, and you start using that. You want to get the AI into the flow, if you will, into your flow at that point, because AI is a critical tool in modern development. It really is. It's the power saw, right? If you're a carpenter, you could cut your wood by hand, which works, but using a power saw is much quicker. Just because there are power saws, it doesn't take away from the skill set of the developer. A mathematician, just because they use a calculator, it doesn't mean that they don't know math and they're not an expert. It just speeds up the process. So the final stage for the beginner is to get out there. After you've done your 3 projects, you build your portfolio site, you put up your 3 projects like that, you start engaging with local web development groups or local developer groups, and you start letting people know what you can do for them. When you have a nice looking portfolio site, you have your projects there, you know what your way around the AI space, you understand what Gemini can do for you, what ChatGPT can do for you, what Claude can do for you, etc. That will make you super valuable. Something I didn't touch off on is the AI first application development. This is a new style of development where you're not using AI so much to augment traditional development. So for example, you're not using AI to help you generate your JavaScript code or to generate your Next.js code, etc. An AI first app is an application where you're using prompt engineering first and foremost, primarily as the vehicle of application development. If this doesn't make any sense to you, that should give you an insight into that. Even though AI can do a lot, you still need to be a pro at it, right? So I developed an AI-based fitness coach, and it took me about 3.5, 4 months to get it to the point where it was pretty good. It was to a point where I liked it. So the complexity was expressed in prompting and a deployment. I did a simple deployment via web app. So I had to know my web. But most of the work was AI prompting, AI-based. It was a GPT, a custom GPT. It's very valuable. It's very effective. So I already know people who are making money. They're selling product and services or freelancing based on being great AI prompters, AI engineers, if you will. So they're not creating the AIs, but they're using the large language models like ChatGPT, like a Gemini, like a Grok to create new types of applications that you couldn't before. So when you're just breaking into the market, this is for the beginner, the last point. If you're just breaking into the market, there's a huge opportunity for you here. Once you know your basics of coding and so forth, to become an AI expert developer in terms of leveraging AI tools to do things. Why? Because there's not many developers, relatively speaking, who do this at this point. More and more are getting into it, but you'll see that a lot more doors will open in terms of jobs, in terms of freelancing opportunities, and business opportunities if you want to go that route. A lot more opportunities will be presented to you because of AI. So for the pro developers, learn AI. If you're not using AI yet, you're crazy not to. It will just speed up the process. I know people have a resistance to it because they see it as a threat. Big mistake, big mistake. I've seen this pattern before. I've been coding professionally since '94. I've seen these patterns before where new technology comes out. The old school coders are like, this is terrible, and they resist it, and they miss out on a huge opportunity. They miss out on a huge opportunity. So let me close off by saying, don't buy into the hype that AGI is going to come around. It's artificial general intelligence. It'll take over the world, blah, blah, blah. The AI companies, they are pumping this and creating this story, this narrative, because they want to drive investment. But it's going to take time before we even come close to that. We're about 3.5, 4 years since ChatGPT came out. And although AI is creeping in, you're seeing already pullbacks. You're already seeing AI companies saying, yeah, I know it doesn't work like we said, but it's just normal for a new industry to stumble. So, don't worry, we'll eventually get there. We're getting that story now. And if you had any experience in technology, I was expecting that. You can look at my old videos. When the first ChatGPT came out and people were going, oh my God, that's it for coding, that's it for all the jobs. I told people to take a pill, chill pill, relax. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's just going to change the game. We're going to be far more productive. I think what AI is going to do, it's going to reduce costs. Things are going to become far more productive. So we're going to get a lot more done. We're going to see a far quicker evolution in the technology stacks all around the world. It's broad-based. So things would just get better. I can tell you, from the point of view of being in business for 36 years and running various organizations, dealing with different organizations, there's lots and lots and lots of, how should we say it? There are lots of inefficiencies in the system as it stands today. We could, with the help of AI, hopefully, we could reduce cost by 50, 60, 70, 80% and deliver better services, create new and better jobs, and just create a much higher standard of living. So there's lots of opportunity that AI will open. A lot of things that had not been done, had not been dealt with because we were so busy with other things over here, we couldn't deal with all this crap that has to be done now. And we're seeing it. We're seeing it now. So again, if you're an experienced developer, if you're not using AI, get into AI. I would recommend getting into agentic development, MCP, agentic development, also AI first development as well. I think you'll see a lot of opportunities there, as opposed to just using AI to augment traditional processes. Yeah. All right. I hope you found this video useful. I'm Uncle Steph. I've been in the game since '94. I got my first paid job as a developer in 1994, although I didn't go full-time until about '96. And I've been developing apps for many years now. And I got my current app, the last one, the SaaS product that I've taken to market, is Studio Web. And you can check out studioweb.com. It's an interactive training platform used by hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of districts over the years. And it's an interactive platform, but it's also a classroom management and to a limited extent, a school management tool. So the reason I mention it is just to show you that I actually take code and I put it to practice and create business out of it. Studio Web is just the latest one Actually, my latest one is my Fit Over 50, but that's much more of it. That's an AI first application. I just built that like a month ago. I released it. That's still just starting. So point is, I have a lot of business taking code and making it into money, whether you freelance jobs or creating your own SaaS product. These are things I do. So I teach you based on experience. That's all. Follow the steps I outlined in this video, and you will do pretty well. You will do pretty well. I'm sure people will comment under the video about how they were able to get jobs based on my training. So that's it. All right. Let me know what you think about this video. Have any questions? I'm recording this on October 29th, I think it is. It should be released today or not tomorrow. And yeah, I tend to start doing lives again. So let me know if you have any questions, and I'll be happy to answer. Thanks for watching. Cheers.